A random man tried to rope my girlfriend at a party and I defended her, but the cops arrested me for assaulting him. My girlfriend Emma was getting drinks at the kitchen counter when I saw this guy grab her wrist and pull her toward him. She was struggling, trying to twist away, and I did what anyone would do. I ran over and shoved him off her, hard. He fell backward into a table, knocking over bottles and cups. People started yelling. Emma was crying and shaking, saying thank you over and over. The guy got up holding his shoulder, and that's when someone screamed that the cops were already outside. I figured they'd shake my hand. I was wrong. 3 officers walked straight past the guy who grabbed my girlfriend and put me in handcuffs instead. I kept saying he attacked her first, that I was just protecting her, but they weren't listening. They read me my rights and walked me out past a crowd of people filming on their phones. At the station, they put me in an interrogation room and left me there for 2 hours. No explanation, no charges read, just silence. When a detective finally came in, he dropped a file on the table and asked if I knew who I'd assaulted tonight. I said I didn't know him at all, that he was a stranger who grabbed my girlfriend. The detective's expression didn't change. He just nodded slowly and left again. Emma came to pick me up 6 hours later after they released me on bail. She was quiet the whole drive home, which I figured was just shock from what happened, but she wouldn't look at me, not once. The next morning, I woke up to find her packing a bag. She said she needed space to process everything and was staying with her sister for a few days. I asked if she was okay, if she wanted to talk about what that guy did to her. She just said it was complicated and left. I tried calling her that night, straight to voicemail. I texted asking if I could bring her anything. No response. I called her sister's number and got a message saying the number had been disconnected. My friends from the party weren't responding either. Not a single one. I'd known some of them for years, and suddenly nobody would answer my calls or texts. When I drove to my buddy Marcus's apartment, his roommate said he'd moved out 2 days ago, but I'd just seen Marcus at the party. The charges came through on day 3, aggravated assault. The prosecutor was asking for a minimum of 5 years, because apparently the guy I pushed had a broken collarbone and 2 cracked ribs. That didn't make sense. I shoved him once. He fell onto a table. That's it. I hired a lawyer who requested the police report and evidence file. When we met to review it, he looked uncomfortable. He showed me photographs of the guy's injuries, and they were severe. Way more damage than a single push could cause. His face was bruised and swollen. There were cuts on his arms like he'd been in an actual fight. I told my lawyer that wasn't right, that I only pushed him once. He asked if I'd been drinking, if maybe I didn't remember everything clearly. I'd had 2 beers over 3 hours. I remembered every second. My lawyer found something else in the file. The guy's name was Daniel Porter. I'd never heard of him, but when I searched the name online, I found his social media, and there was Emma in his photos, going back 2 years. Birthday parties, beach trips, Thanksgiving dinners. They were together in every picture, and in most of them, Daniel had his arm around her. The most recent photo was from 3 months ago. I drove to Emma's parents' house because I didn't know where else to go. Her mom answered the door and immediately tried to close it when she saw me. I asked where Emma was, and she said I needed to leave before she called the police. I asked why everyone was acting like I was the criminal when I was defending her daughter. Her mom's face changed. She looked confused for a second, then almost sad. She asked what exactly Emma had told me about that night. I said Emma was grabbed by a stranger, and I protected her. Her mom went quiet for a long time. Then she said Daniel wasn't a stranger at all, that he and Emma had been engaged for 3 years before I came along, that Emma had left him 6 months ago to be with me. But that still didn't explain the assault charges. It didn't explain why the injuries were so severe when I barely touched him. It didn't explain why everyone at that party disappeared. I drove back to my apartment trying to piece it together. When I walked in, my laptop was open on the kitchen table. I always kept it closed. There was a video file on the desktop that hadn't been there before. I clicked play and saw myself at the party, but not pushing Daniel once. The video showed me on top of him, throwing punch after punch while Emma stood behind me recording on her phone and smiling. Because the rest of the story is on my channel or linked below. I stare at the screen, my hands frozen over the keyboard. The video plays again, and I watch myself transform into someone I don't recognize, my fists connecting with Daniel's face. Again, his head snapping back with each blow, blood spattering across his shirt, and Emma standing there filming, a smile playing at the corners of her mouth. I slam the laptop shut and stumble backward, knocking over a chair. My breath comes in ragged gasps as I collapse onto the couch, my mind racing to make sense of what I just saw. That wasn't me. It couldn't be me. I remember every second of that night, Daniel grabbing Emma, me pushing him once, him falling into the table. That's it. That's all that happened. But the video shows something else entirely. My phone buzzes on the coffee table. It's my lawyer, Richard. I answer with shaking hands. I need to see you immediately, I say before he can speak. Someone left a video on my laptop. It shows me beating Daniel repeatedly, but that's not what happened. I swear to God, that's not what happened. Richard is silent for a moment. Don't touch anything else. Don't speak to anyone. I'll be there in 20 minutes. While waiting, I pace the apartment, running my hands through my hair, trying to piece together how this could be possible. I've never blacked out in my life. I've never had memory issues. I remember that night with perfect clarity, or I thought I did. When Richard arrives, his face is grim as he watches the video. He rewinds it several times, studying specific frames, his expression growing more troubled with each viewing. This doesn't make sense, I say, my voice cracking. I only pushed him once. I swear. Richard turns to me. There are a few possibilities here. The video could be edited or manipulated. Deepfakes are getting incredibly sophisticated. But why would someone do that? That's what we need to find out. He closes the laptop. Did you notice anything unusual before the party? Any gaps in your memory? Any time you felt not yourself? I start to say no, but then hesitate. I've been having headaches, and sometimes I feel foggy, but I assumed it was stress from work. Richard nods. I want you to search your apartment. Look for anything unusual, anything that might explain what's happening. After he leaves, I tear the place apart. I check under the mattress, behind furniture, inside every drawer. Nothing seems out of place until I reach the bathroom. Something about the vent cover looks wrong. It's slightly askew, as if it's been removed recently. I grab a screwdriver and pry it open. Inside, wedged against the metal, is an empty prescription bottle. No label, just a small plastic container with white powder residue at the bottom. bottom. My stomach drops as I turn it over in my hand. This wasn't here before. I would have noticed. I take a picture of the bottle and search online for similar medications. After 20 minutes of scrolling through pharmaceutical databases, I find something that matches the pill description and residue, a powerful sedative known to cause memory blackouts and confusion. Often used in cases of severe anxiety, but with warnings about potential amnesia-like side effects. My phone buzzes with a text message from an unknown number. "You're welcome." I stare at it, my blood running cold. I try calling the number, but it goes straight to a generic voicemail. I text back, "Who is this? What did you do to me?" No response. I call Richard and tell him about the pill bottle and the text. "Don't touch anything else," he says, his voice tense. "Someone's been in your apartment. Someone's been drugging you. But who? And why?" Before he can answer, he gets another call. When he returns to our conversation, his voice is grave. "That was the detective. They want you to come in for another statement immediately. They say they have new evidence." "What kind of evidence?" "They wouldn't say. But listen to me, don't answer any questions without me present. Don't volunteer any information about the video or the pill bottle. We need to understand what's happening before we reveal our hand." I agree, and hang up, my mind racing. As I grab my keys to head to the station, I catch my reflection in the hallway mirror. For a split second, I don't recognize the person staring back at me, eyes wild with fear, face pale with shock. Who am I? What have I done? And more importantly, what has been done to me? The pill bottle feels heavy in my pocket as I lock the apartment door behind me. Someone has been drugging me. Someone has been in my home. Someone wants me to believe I'm capable of violence I have no memory of committing. And Emma, the woman I loved, the woman I thought I was protecting, was smiling as she filmed the whole thing. The interrogation room is definitely colder this time. I don't know if they've actually lowered the temperature or if it's just the dread settling into my bones. But I can't stop shivering as I wait for Detective Reyes to return. When the door finally opens, he's not alone. A female officer follows him in, carrying a laptop and several manila folders. Neither of them speaks as they set up the equipment. Richard, my lawyer, shifts uncomfortably beside me. "Before we begin," Richard says, "I'd like to know what new evidence you claim to have." Detective Reyes doesn't answer immediately. Instead, he opens the laptop and turns it toward us. We've obtained additional footage from the night in question. The video starts playing, and my stomach drops. It's the same incident, but from a completely different angle, showing me pummeling Daniel with a ferocity I still don't recognize in myself. Then another angle appears in split screen. Then another. Multiple phones recording from different positions around the room. "As you can see," Detective Reyes says, his voice flat, "we now have footage from 3 separate witnesses, all showing the same thing." Richard leans forward. "This doesn't change our position," my client maintains. "We also have new witness statements," the detective interrupts, sliding a folder across the table. "3 people have come forward claiming your client threatened Mr. Porter earlier that evening." I stare at him in disbelief. "That's impossible." "I never." Richard squeezes my arm, silencing me. "One witness overheard you saying, and I quote, 'If he touches her again, I'll break more than his nose.'" Detective Reyes raises an eyebrow. "Care to explain that?" "I never said that." I insist, my voice cracking. I'd never even met Daniel before that night. The detective's expression remains unchanged as he pulls out his phone and turns it toward us. This was posted on Emma's Instagram 3 months ago. The photo shows Emma smiling with her arm around Daniel at what looks like a restaurant. The caption reads, "Great, catching up with an old friend. Some bonds never break." 3 months ago, Detective Reyes repeats. "And there are dozens more going back 2 years. Yet you claim you'd never met him?" My head spins. I didn't know. She never told me they were still in contact. "Mr. Porter claims you've been harassing him since Emma left him for you 6 months ago. That this assault was the culmination of an ongoing pattern of threats." Richard intervenes. "My client has no criminal record, detective. No history of violence whatsoever. There's always a first time," the detective says coldly. The rest of the interrogation passes in a blur. Richard manages to end it before I say something incriminating, but the damage is done. They have multiple videos, multiple witnesses, and evidence that Emma was still seeing Daniel behind my back. Outside the station, Richard pulls me aside. "Don't speak to anyone about this. Not Emma, not friends, no one. Something isn't right here." I nod numbly and reach into my jacket pocket for my keys. My fingers brush against something metal that wasn't there before, a small key I don't recognize. "What's this?" I mutter, pulling it out. Richard frowns. "That's not yours?" I shake my head. "Never seen it before." The key has a number stamped on it, 247. Below that, the name of a storage facility across town. "Someone planted this on me," I say, my voice barely audible. "Inside the station." Richard examines it carefully. "This could be a trap, but it could also be someone trying to help you." 2 hours later, we're standing in front of storage unit 247. Richard insisted on coming with me, saying this whole situation feels like a setup. The key turns smoothly in the lock. Inside, the unit is mostly empty except for a single cardboard box in the center. I approach it cautiously and lift the lid. Daniel's things, his wallet, keys, a notebook, and several framed photos of him and Emma, recent ones, taken well after she supposedly left him for me. My hands tremble as I pick up the notebook and flip it open. It's a journal, and the first entry I see makes my blood run cold. April 15. E says he's getting suspicious. She thinks he might have seen the texts. "We need to accelerate the plan." I flip through more pages, each entry more damning than the last. The journal details Emma's double life, how she never actually left Daniel, how they've been planning something together for months. Richard reads over my shoulder, his expression darkening. "This is evidence of conspiracy. We need to..." My phone rings, cutting him off. Unknown number. "Hello? It's Melissa," a woman's voice says urgently. "Emma's sister." My grip tightens on the phone. "Melissa? Emma told me she was staying with you, but when I called, she wasn't with me." Melissa interrupts. "Listen carefully. You're being set up. Emma and Daniel never really broke up. This whole thing, it's been planned for months." "Why are you telling me this?" There's a pause. "Because what they're doing is wrong, and because Daniel's done this before." Before I can ask what she means, Richard taps my shoulder and points to another item in the box, a sealed manila envelope with my name on it. I tear it open while still on the phone. Inside are dozens of printed text messages between Emma and Daniel, dating back 8 months. "Daniel, Is he taking the pills? Emma, every day. He has no idea. Daniel, perfect. Once we have him on video, the insurance claim will be a slam dunk. Daniel, just make sure he sees us together at the party. I'll do the rest. Emma, what if he doesn't react the way we want? Daniel, trust me. Those pills plus the right trigger words. He won't even remember what he did. I sink to my knees on the concrete floor, the phone still pressed to my ear. The evidence of their betrayal spread out around me. I never touched him more than once. I whisper. I only pushed him. I know, Melissa says. Emma's been crushing up those pills in your food for weeks. They're the same ones Daniel used on his last girlfriend before he sued her for everything she had. Richard is already taking photos of everything with his phone. This changes everything, he says, but we need to be careful. If they went to these lengths to set you up, they won't stop now. As if on cue, my phone buzzes with a text from Emma. We need to talk. Meet me tonight? I show it to Richard, who shakes his head firmly. Not alone. Not without a plan. I look back at the journal, at the text messages, at the evidence of how thoroughly I've been manipulated. The person I trusted most in the world has been systematically destroying my memory, my reputation, and my future. And now she wants to meet. I stare at Emma's text for a long moment. We need to talk. Meet me tonight? Absolutely not, Richard says firmly, gathering the evidence from the storage unit. At least not without a plan. But a plan is already forming in my mind. I need to confront her. I need to hear her admit what she's done. Richard shakes his head. That's exactly what they want. Another confrontation. Another opportunity to manipulate you. Not if we control the situation, I say, pulling up an app on my phone. When Emma and I first started dating, we installed location sharing apps on each other's phones. I'd forgotten about it until now. I tap the screen and wait as it searches. There, I say, showing Richard the blinking dot on the map. She's at the Westlake Hotel downtown. Richard looks skeptical. She could have left her phone there deliberately. Maybe, but it's the only lead we have. I start packing the evidence back into the box. I'm going. You can come with me or not. 2 hours later, we're standing in the hallway of the Westlake's 4th floor. Richard insisted on bringing a small recording device, which is now tucked discreetly in my jacket pocket. Remember, he whispers as we approach room 412. Stay calm. Get her to admit everything on tape. I knock, my heart hammering against my ribs. Footsteps approach, and then the door swings open. Emma's eyes widen in shock. What are you? How did you find me? Location sharing app, I say flatly, pushing past her into the room. Remember? The hotel room is spacious, with 2 queen beds. On one of them sits a woman I recognize as Emma's friend Jess from college. Another woman I don't know is perched on a desk chair. Both are staring at a laptop screen, which they quickly slam shut when they see me. Were you watching it again? I ask, my voice eerily calm, despite the rage building inside me. The video of me beating Daniel? Was it entertaining for all of you? Emma's face drains of color. It's not what you think. It's exactly what I think. I cut her off, pulling out my phone to show her the photos of the journal entries and text messages. Daniel never broke up with you, did he? This whole thing was a setup from the beginning. The room goes deadly silent. Jess and the other woman exchange glances before quietly gathering their things and slipping out the door. Richard positions himself near the exit, arms crossed, watching Emma carefully. Who are you? Emma asks him, her voice shaking. His lawyer, Richard replies coldly. Emma sinks onto the edge of the bed, her shoulders slumping. For a moment, she looks like she might deny everything, but then her expression changes. You weren't supposed to find out like this, she says quietly. How was I supposed to find out? After I went to prison for assault? After Daniel sued me for everything I have? She winces at my words. It wasn't supposed to go that far. Daniel just wanted to scare you, to get some money from an insurance claim. By drugging me, I pull the empty pill bottle from my pocket and toss it onto the bed beside her. By making me believe I was losing my mind? Emma stares at the bottle, then back at me. He said they were harmless, just something to make you more suggestible. You've been crushing them into my food for weeks. I say, remembering Melissa's words. Memory-altering medication that made me black out. That made me forget what really happened that night. She doesn't deny it. Daniel wanted you back at any cost, she admits, her voice barely above a whisper. He said if I helped him, we could get back together. He had it all planned out. The multiple camera angles, I say, the pieces falling into place. His friends were positioned around the room, ready to record. Emma nods slowly. He paid them each $500 to be in the right spots. They were supposed to make it look like you attacked him unprovoked. And the confrontation at the party? That was orchestrated too? Daniel knew exactly what to say to trigger you, she says. The drugs made you more aggressive, more impulsive. He grabbed my wrist hard enough to leave bruises, said things he knew would make you snap. But I didn't snap, I say, my voice rising. I pushed him once. That's all I did. I know, Emma whispers, tears forming in her eyes. The rest of the video was edited. They spliced in footage from another fight that happened at a different party months ago. Daniel's injuries were mostly makeup, except for the broken collarbone he did that mountain biking the week before and realized he could use it. Richard makes a note on his phone, his expression grim but satisfied. We're getting exactly what we need. Why? I ask. The question that's been burning inside me since this nightmare began. Why would you do this to me? I thought you loved me. Emma looks up, tears streaming down her face. I do love you. That's why this got so complicated. It was supposed to be simple, help Daniel get some insurance money, break up with you, everyone moves on. But then I actually fell for you, and I couldn't go through with the original plan. So you came up with a worse one, I say bitterly. Daniel was going to expose me if I backed out completely, she says. He had evidence of me buying the drugs, text messages, planning everything. I'd go to jail too. I'm about to respond when a sharp knock at the door makes us all freeze. Emma's eyes widen in panic. Are you expecting someone? I ask. Before she can answer, the door swings open. Daniel Porter stands in the doorway, his arms still in a sling, his face no longer showing any signs of the brutal beating I supposedly gave him. His confident smile falters when he sees me and Richard. What the hell is this? Hello, Daniel, Richard says smoothly. We were just having a fascinating conversation about insurance fraud, drugging someone without their consent, and falsifying evidence. Care to join us? Daniel's eyes dart to Emma. What did you tell them? Everything. I answer for her. The drugs, the setup at the party, the edited video. We know it was all a scam for insurance money. Daniel Daniel's face hardens. You have no proof of anything. I smile for the first time in days. Actually, we do. Your journal from the storage unit, the text messages, planning everything. And now Emma's confession, which we've been recording since we walked in. The color drains from Daniel's face as he realizes he's trapped. He takes a step toward Emma, his expression murderous. You stupid bitch. Richard moves between them. I wouldn't do that if I were you. Assault charges on top of everything else would really complicate your situation. Daniel backs up, his mind visibly racing for a way out. It was her idea, he says suddenly, pointing at Emma. All of it. She approached me, said her new boyfriend was abusive, that she needed help getting away from him. Emma gasps. That's not true. She's been planning this for months. Daniel continues desperately. I was just trying to help her escape a dangerous situation. I look between them. These two people who conspired to destroy my life, now turning on each other to save themselves. The irony would be almost funny if it weren't so painful. Save it for the police, Richard says, pulling out his phone. I'm calling them now. Daniel lunges for the door, but I block his path. Running will only make it worse, I tell him. For a moment, I think he might try to fight his way past me, but then his shoulders slump in defeat. He sinks into a chair by the window, his face in his hands. It wasn't supposed to go this far, he mutters, echoing Emma's earlier words. It was just supposed to be a quick insurance payout, and destroying my life was just collateral damage, I ask. He looks up, his expression suddenly cold and calculating. You took everything from me when you stole Emma. This was just returning the favor. As Richard speaks quietly to the police on the phone, I look at Emma, still sitting on the edge of the bed, tears streaming down her face. I really did love you, she whispers. I want to believe her. Part of me still does, but the evidence of her betrayal is too overwhelming, too complete. If this is love, I tell her quietly, I'd hate to see what you do to people you hate. The room falls silent except for Richard's voice giving the hotel address to the police. Outside the window, rain begins to fall, droplets racing down the glass like tears. In the reflection, I can see all three of us, the woman I loved, the man who hated me enough to destroy me, and myself, standing between them, finally seeing the truth. Daniel's face drains of all color as he realizes he's cornered. He glances at Emma, then at the recording device visible in my jacket pocket, and finally at Richard standing by the door. I can almost see the calculations running through his mind, weighing his options, before he slumps into the hotel chair. Fine, he mutters, running a hand through his hair. It was about the insurance money. I had a policy that would pay out for injuries sustained in an assault. Richard steps forward. How much? $200,000, Daniel admits. I needed the cash. Medical school debt doesn't pay itself. I shake my head in disbelief. You destroyed my life for money? You destroyed mine first, he snaps, gesturing between Emma and me. 3 years we were engaged. 3 years. Then she meets you, and 6 months later, everything I built is gone. Emma looks up, tears streaming down her face. That's not how it happened, and you know it. You were controlling, possessive. Save it. I cut her off. You've both lied enough. Richard's phone buzzes. He checks it and nods to me. Police are downstairs. They want us to meet them in the lobby. Daniel stands suddenly. Wait, can we work something out? I'll drop the charges. Pay back your legal fees. It's too late for that, I say, my voice steady despite the storm of emotions inside me. You drugged me for weeks. You made me think I was losing my mind. You tried to send me to prison. The walk to the elevator is silent and tense. In the lobby, 2 officers are waiting. Richard approaches them first, explaining the situation while I stand back with Emma and Daniel. I really did fall for you, Emma whispers. That wasn't part of the plan. I look at her, searching for any trace of the woman I thought I knew. Then why keep drugging me? Why film me at the party with that smile on your face? She has no answer, just more tears. The next few hours pass in a blur of statements and evidence. Emma secretly recorded our hotel confrontation on her phone, capturing Daniel's admission about the insurance fraud. Combined with the journal entries, text messages, and the empty pill bottle, it's more than enough for the police to drop the charges against me and start building a case against both of them. Daniel is arrested for drugging me without consent, conspiracy to commit insurance fraud, and filing false police reports. Emma is allowed to leave after giving her statement, but the detective warns her she'll likely face charges as well. As I watch the police car drive away with Daniel in the back seat, Richard puts a hand on my shoulder. It's over, he says. The prosecutor will drop all charges against you by tomorrow. What about the video? I ask. It's still out there, making me look like some violent monster. We'll handle it, he assures me. With the evidence we have now, we can get the media to run a correction story. The narrative will shift. He's right. Over the next week, local news outlets that had run headlines about party attacker faces felony charges publish follow-up stories with titles like Man Framed in Elaborate Insurance Scam and Setup Victim Cleared of All charges. The police recover additional security footage from the party venue showing Daniel's friends planting something in my drink when I wasn't looking. Toxicology tests confirm traces of the memory-altering drug in my system, matching the residue from the pill bottle found in my apartment. Daniel's friends, the ones who positioned themselves around the room with their phones, are identified and questioned. Most of them quickly confess when faced with potential conspiracy charges, explaining how Daniel paid them each to record from specific angles and edit the footage together later. Marcus, my friend who supposedly moved out 2 days before I visited his apartment, calls me a week after everything breaks in the news. I'm so sorry, man, he says, his voice heavy with guilt. Daniel offered to pay my rent for 6 months if I disappeared for a while. I never thought he was setting you up for something this serious. One by one, other friends reach out with similar stories. Daniel had systematically isolated me, buying off my support network or intimidating them into silence. The party guests who stopped responding to my calls and texts admit they received threatening messages from unknown numbers, warning them to stay away from me. Emma doesn't call. Instead, she sends a letter to my apartment, pages of explanation and apology that I can barely bring myself to read. She claims she tried to back out of the plan several times, but Daniel threatened to expose her role if she didn't follow through. She writes about falling in love with me for real, about the guilt that consumed her every time she crushed another pill into my food. I want to believe her, but the image of her smiling as she filmed me at the party is burned into my memory. Whatever her reasons, whatever her feelings, she made her choice. She chose Daniel's scheme over my sanity, my freedom, my life. life. The letter ends with a note saying she's leaving town, starting over somewhere new. Part of me is relieved. I don't think I could bear seeing her around town, being reminded of everything we had and everything she destroyed. 2 months after the charges are dropped, I'm sitting in my therapist's office, still trying to process the betrayal. Trust is going to be difficult for you, Dr. Winters says gently. That's normal after what you've experienced. I keep checking my food. I admit, I can't stop wondering if someone's drugging me again. She nods. Hypervigilance is a common response to trauma. It will take time to feel safe again. Time. Everyone keeps telling me it will take time. Time to rebuild my reputation. Time to trust people again. Time to stop feeling like a victim. But sitting in that quiet office, staring at the rain hitting the window, I wonder if there's enough time in the world to erase what happened. The media coverage has mostly died down. Daniel is awaiting trial, facing years in prison if convicted. Emma has disappeared completely. Her social media deleted. Her phone disconnected. The friends who abandoned me have tried to make amends, but those relationships will never be the same. I'm alone now, truly alone, but there's a strange comfort in the solitude. No one to manipulate me, no one to betray me, no one to make me question my own mind. As I leave the therapist's office and step into the rain, I catch my reflection in a store window. For a moment, I don't recognize the person staring back, eyes harder, face thinner, shoulders tense with constant vigilance. But then I see something else in that reflection. Strength. The strength of someone who survived a conspiracy designed to destroy him, who fought back when everyone and everything was against him. I may be broken, but I'm free. And for now, that has to be enough.